Oh, hey there. Welcome back. I'm the Mighty Mustache. If you don't know who I am and what the hell I'm talking about, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you'll hit that like and subscribe button by the end of the video though. And if you've been here a long time, I love you. Thank you so much for supporting me. I know who you are. I've seen your comments. You're a great person. Anyway, today we're talking about seedlings. 3 weeks ago, I planted 150 of them, pepper plants to be exact. And today we want to check on their progress. We're going to see where they're at as far as germination. We also want to talk about when your plants stretch out due to lack of light. So how to remedy that, what causes it, how to prevent it, stuff like that. As well as how to separate your seedlings if you've planted them in the same cell to kind of untangle their roots and then successfully transplant them, whether it is with entanglement or without. We're going to transplant some seedlings today, so I'll go over that as well. So yeah, we're going to get started right now. Just got this fixed right now. Okay, so welcome back. It's been about 3 weeks since I planted 150 seeds and almost 60 of them have germinated. You will see there are empty cells. We're still waiting for them to come in. It's really a roll of the dice at this point. I've been doing everything correctly as far as humidity and heat and moisture. I've been keeping them, I haven't let anything dry out, so to speak. It's down to the seeds. Some of them were newer, some of them were older, some of them just won't work. It's the way this thing goes. So anything that doesn't sprout, I will be replanting. And I'm going to point out that there are some lankier plants, and that was what I was talking about. I've been working with a new light. It's a 6500K, and it's not doing them justice. They're not receiving enough light from it, so they're stretching, looking for more light. So we're going to remedy that by replacing this light. But we're also going to take these out, separate them, and transplant them. Once they have true leaves, and so true leaves are the second pair of leaves that come in after the primary leaves, they are ready to be transplanted. Some people will tell you wait until they bottom out with the roots, but when you're planting multiple in the same cell, you don't want to let the roots advance too much. You want to be able to separate them without damaging the plants. So that's what we're doing. We're going to get to it right now. Let's go. All right, here we are. So as you can see here, we have our tray. We're going to start out with these guys right here. Now these drainage ports on the bottom of the tray aren't just for drainage. They're nice little finger nooks that you can put your finger right through and then remove the seedlings. And I can tell this one's probably going to be easier to do that I have my hand right now. Basically, you want to pretend like this is bread, and you just want to kind of wiggle it until it starts to crack, so you can find out where the seeds are. Now that was an easy break. This is an easy one to fix right here. So I'm going to set this right here, and then right here, same thing. We're just going to kind of wiggle it. Try to hopefully just let the roots pull apart, and easy peasy. That's all you got to do. Boom, done. Now, since these are so lanky, we're going to plant these a little bit deeper. So I happen to have a cup right here. Let me slide this up. I'm moving you guys too. You're going to take your finger, obviously just put a little hole in there, depending on how deep you want to go. Since these are so tall and they're still so young, they can still sprout roots off the stem here. So we're going to go down a little bit. Actually, make sure we got enough room. We're going to go down to about there and then kind of push that in a little bit. And then when I'm done with all this, I'm going to go ahead and just water these. This one actually looks a little thirsty. It shouldn't be, but it's a little thirsty. So we're going to set that one aside. I'm going to do another one real quick. Same thing, since these are so long, we're going to go down a little bit further than we typically would. About there should be good. When they get to be older plants, and if you try to put them in too deep, they'll actually rot. You don't want to do that. So these should be okay. So we're going to set this one aside. All right, and then I'm just going to time lapse this, do what I got to do, and then we'll talk a little more about the plants. So let's get to that. Okay, so I turned my closet into a little grow room, as you can see here, and this will be their spot for a little while. I'll be upgrading this too. I just have a standard T5 above them, 4 bulb fluorescent light, and that's what's going to be keeping them alive in here. And yeah, and they're all labeled. Don't forget to label your plants, very important. You do not want to be guessing what you got, trying to figure it out later. So we got all kinds of goodies in there, and you already saw how much I removed from the original tray. I also did some other stuff out there. I'm going to talk about that in just a second, but you can see they're a lot shorter now that I planted them down, and it's exactly what you want. Well, we're all done, sort of. Still have a lot of work to do. It's a lot of work in general, guys. It's a labor of love, you know. This is something you have to really enjoy doing. It takes a lot of patience, and you're gonna hit a lot of brick walls on the way, no matter what you're doing. Silly things like my plant stretching. It's just time consuming, and you can't always keep up with everything, you know. If I had all the time in the world, I'd monitor my plants 24/7. I really don't. So you do what you can do. So I ran into an issue with that. Problem solved. I was going to say something else about that. I'm trying to think about what it was. When you're growing your plants, if they're starting to stretch, there's one of two things going on. It's most likely one thing. The light isn't powerful enough for the distance that you have it away from the plants. So if it's up here and they're stretching, it's not close enough to give them the amount of light that they need. Unfortunately, that light itself is not powerful enough to be that high up, and I can't lower it anymore because I need the dome on there to keep the humidity in. I went with a larger dome. So it caused a problem for me, but it's not the end of the world. Pepper plants are very resilient, they're very strong, they're just awesome plants. You can really torture them and they'll still come through. So I tried to pick at least 2 of the best of each variety that I have. That was my goal. You know, there's a couple exceptions. Like I think I picked 3 of the Naga Vipers. I kept 3 of those, but pretty much everything else, chocolate jigsaws, you know, stuff like that. I picked 2 of the strongest, healthiest looking ones. That's what you want to do, and then keep them. So they've all been transplanted. Now the ones that are still out there, they'll eventually be transplanted as well. They're going to run into the same thing. I'm in the process of waiting for a new light to arrive. I'm going to have a 4-foot light in here. I'm going to have twice the length of this in plants. So I have to set that up. So as they start to stretch, I'm going to pull them out, and then I'm going to put them over here. So that's all I can do right now. If you've been following my channel, you do know that I had a little bit of an aphid issue down in my basement where I normally grow everything. So it's kind of thrown a wrench in my whole process. You can't put fresh vegetation down there with aphids. I'll definitely end up losing all of them, probably. So I'm still working on that, but I am getting it under control. And like I said before, with those plants, I have 14 overwinters or so. I just got to get them through the winter. They're tough enough to take whatever those aphids do. I just need to get them outside and get some, predators that can help eat all the aphids up, because they're very resilient. I've hit them with a lot of different things, and it takes a long time to get rid of them. I've wanted to take them outside to hose them off, but it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit outside. I don't want to risk killing my plants, So, dealing with that, I'm dealing with this. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you're looking for more of my hot sauce tasting and challenge stuff, that's all coming up. I do have a few of those really fun videos coming up. I've got some skits coming up. If you're into my skit side of the channel and you're into the challenge side of the channel, there's gonna be plenty of that coming up shortly. And then don't forget to check me out on Instagram, the_mighty_mustache. I do memes, I post behind the scenes stuff. You should probably go check that out. And if you have any questions on what I did, please comment below or check me out on Instagram. You can send me a direct message on there. Don't be afraid. I'll gladly answer you anytime. So yeah, I'm just glad I got this done. So if you have any issues when you're doing it with the roots getting tangled, I couldn't really show you specifically how to do that in this video, but if you do run into an issue like that where you're like, man, these plants are very close, just the last thing to let you know, if you're afraid to pull them apart because you might damage them, you got two things you can do. One, real quick, is rinse the soil off so you can actually see the roots and then decide whether it's worth pulling them apart. Or two, let them be. I've had plants that grew right next to each other and I've just let them go and they coexisted. One plant might be stronger than the other, but they both did grow and they both did fruit, and it was no issues whatsoever. So you can let them coexist. They almost turn into like the same plant eventually. So anyway, guys, that's enough of my yapping, enough of my coffee drinking. You're probably like, damn, how many cups of coffee does this guy have a day? I lost count. But anyway, as usual, guys, have a great day, have a great night, whatever time it is, have a great one.